In today's video, we'll be talking about first aid kits, and what you should have on you as a babysitter. Stay tuned. Hey sitters, welcome back. It's Lydia. Thank you for joining me. So today I'm here with my friend Lynn. She's a nurse. She's been a nurse for 28 years, and she will be telling us all about first aid and what we should do in situations as babysitters. Thank you for joining me.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm really glad to be here.
So as babysitters, we go to the park or we'll go to the playgrounds, and accidents happen. So we'll get scrapes or bruises. Not we, but the kids will get scrapes and bruises, or if we're in the house and they touch a hot stove, they may get burned. So what should we have on us as babysitters to be ready for those situations?
Well, I think it's really important that babysitters have a first aid kit with them while they're babysitting. They don't always need to go ahead and invest in, a pre-made kit like these two we have here. Babysitters can simply put together, find an old Tupperware or an old bag, a little cosmetic bag you could swipe from your mom if she has one laying around. And then I want to show you some of the things that you might want to go ahead and include in your first aid kit or in your first aid bag. So, of course, the obvious things, if kids cut themselves, you want to make sure that you have some bandages in here. And you can see I put mine in a little bit of a Ziploc just so that things kind of stay a little bit organized. Because if the kid's bleeding a little bit, you don't want to be panicking and ruffling through your first aid kit trying to find a Band-Aid real quick, or a little gauze pad. That's one of the other things. And maybe some antiseptic wipes are also really nice to have to kind of clean that wound. You can also clean that wound just with some soap and water too, which is really good to make sure that wound gets clean before you put that bandage on there. That's unless there's a lot of bleeding and you want to make sure you're putting pressure directly on that wound as soon as possible. That's why we like you to keep some gloves in your kit.
In these, you have all different types of sizes of Band-Aids, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So for different sizes of boo-boos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we even have some just plain gauze pads too.
Okay.
And a lot of times kids really like if you don't actually put a Band-Aid on there, because it sticks to their skin and it can be a little painful when it comes off. So I really like to use a little gauze pad, and I'll show you that. Like this, and this is what it looks like when you open it up. There's a little gauze pad in there. And then let me borrow your arm, Lydia. We'll just go ahead and show you how to wrap this up. And then I love this stuff that self-sticks instead of using any kind of tape or adhesive. So you can just simply wrap this up real quick. A couple of little wraps there. And then I always keep a pair of scissors in my bag, so we can just simply cut that. Keep the safety tip on there so you don't poke anything till you are ready to use those out. And boom, there you go. You got a quick and easy little bandage without anything sticking on the skin. Nice.
Yeah, well, that makes sense because I do have kids that do not like Band-Aids. So mom and dad ask me not to put Band-Aids on them because it's a nightmare taking them off. So this is actually a great solution. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, and this wrap is really kind of fun. It comes in all kinds of colors too.
Oh, okay.
And sometimes you can get it with little smiley faces or balloons or dogs.
Some prints.
I've seen it, yeah, some fun kid-friendly things too. That's a good way to deal with scrapes or little cuts. The other thing I like to keep in my bag, because you never know if the kid's gonna touch something hot. And so if you're out at the park and you're not home where you might have access to an ice pack, there's these really nice little cold packs that you can kind of use. You just squeeze and shake these, and then you can put it on the skin.
Oh, really?
Now you want to make sure you have just a little layer of maybe a shirt, or if you've got a little towel or a rag that you put against the skin, because you don't really want to put the super cold ice pack directly against the skin.
Okay.
So, and then if there's a little burn, you want to leave it on there for about 20 minutes, and maybe at that point a good time to just let mom and dad know something happened.
Yeah. Okay.
One more type of bandage. It's another kind of a wraparound. Instead of that square gauze, it sometimes is kind of nice if you get something on a finger or something, and you can just, this is a conforming stretch gauze, and it's just a gauze that you can wrap around a wound too.
Oh, okay.
That's really kind of nice. So one of the other things sometimes you might run across is kind of a muscle injuries. The kids will either sprain or strain a little muscle, and they like to have it wrapped up and it makes them feel good. But it also will help you if you want to put a little bit of ice on that, because sprains and strains call for something that, if you remember, rest, ice, compression, and elevate. You can go ahead and pop that cold pack on, and then just wrap it up with the ACE bandage, and it'll hold that there. So then if you have other things you need to attend to, you've got, whoops, we forgot to put our little cloth on there though underneath.
Oh,
so yeah, we wanna make sure we always have a little layer of fabric, whether it's a shirt sleeve, if they're wearing long sleeves. Or...
I have a question. So could you take this wrap and instead of putting it right on, put the wrap over it?
That is a brilliant idea.
And then put it on and wrap it up?
Sure could.
Okay.
Sure could.
All right.
Yep.
Perfect.
See, babysitters are so creative. So there's just a few other little things that I like to keep in there. The kids, sometimes they'll like get a little itchy rash or something, and it just drives them really crazy. Now you need to get permission from the parents first, and you also need to just be aware that you should always find out from mom and dad if the kids have any allergies or if they have any medical conditions before you babysit, and also make sure you know what emergency numbers, if you can't get a hold of the parents, what other emergency numbers that you can call for help if something does in fact happen.
Babysitters, I'll put a link to the video of the long-term information you need to collect from parents in the description below.
So the other thing that I probably should have pulled out first is you always want to have a little hand sanitizer with you. Before you like touch an open wound, you want to sanitize your hands, or before, and put the gloves on. And then once you kind of finish caring for the child, you want to sanitize your hands again. Okay, just make sure you do that. So that's about it. I have some tweezers too once in a while, so you know somebody will get a little splinter, and you can, if it's easy to pull out, you can use these to just kind of give it a little tug and tug it out, and that'll help.
All right, well, this is some good information and some good items to carry along with you as a babysitter. Whether can this stuff stay in your car? Can it be?
Most of this stuff can. Sometimes, like the creams and ointments, it will be sensitive to heat. And they also have expiration dates too, so you want to maybe on your birthday look at your first aid kit that you have and make sure you don't have anything expired in there. Or just set a date that you'll remember annually. Or if you're really a little compulsive, like a lot of us nurses, we'll look and see what our expiration date is on a medication and actually like put that somewhere in our kit, which kind of will remind us that we need to change that particular thing out.
That's a good idea. So obviously when you get to a house as a babysitter, you should always ask mom and dad where the first aid kit is, correct?
Yes.
And it could be in the kitchen, it could be sometimes in the garage. But so this you can carry with you in your babysitting bag and in the car, and then just with you in a backpack on your way to the park, right?
Sure. And you may want to check with mom and dad too and ask if they want you to take their first aid kit, or if what you have is okay with them too.
Okay, awesome. As always, babysitters, I think you should take a CPR first aid AED course from the Red Cross. It's very informational and helpful. I take it and get refresher courses all the time. Well, thank you, Lynne, for all your time and all the information you've brought to us. Babysitters, if this is your first time here, thanks for joining us. Hit that subscribe button and the bell notification so you get notified every time I upload, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.